Good evening. Good evening. We are on the move. Thanks to everyone for being here. We are on the move, and I hope you enjoyed that song. Welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast. We are excited to have all of you here with us this evening. And I just want to say that song took me back to my younger days. Ain't no stopping us now. I was a counselor at ECPC with some of my young kids, and I played that song. We did a skit for that song. So it took me back 30 years or so. But with all that being said, thank you very much for being part of our show this evening, the Be Extraordinary podcast. I am your host, Joetta. I'm a four-time Olympian, motivational speaker, author, philanthropist, and a health and wellness advocate. And at the Be Extraordinary podcast, we want to do everything that makes you a better person. So I keep saying we, because I have an amazing co-host with me. His name is Tyrone Johnson. He's a retired fighter from the city of Newark. For 25 years, he was a firefighter and a first responder. He is a health and wellness advocate. He is a motivational coach, and he's also a renowned high school national coach. Good evening, Tyrone. It's great to be in the studio.
Thank you, Joetta. Nice to be back in the studio with you. And I like your son.
Yeah, look at that, right?
Jotyme Fitness.
Our new banner, Jotyme Fitness, and we'll talk about that. Jotyme Fitness is all about you, and we meet you where you are. And this evening, the only thing I want you to know is that we have a fantastic show. And I ask you to be where your feet are. So your feet are right here. Stay with us for this entire hour. Our show is being sponsored by Surre, Goldberg, and Henry. And what's happening now is that we have a new sponsor this time, and they want to do Olympians for the month of June. Surre, Goldberg, and Henry, they have provided excellent service for over 50 years, and they are one of the leading Surre bond agencies located just outside of New York. And if you want to find out more about them, visit their website, sghassociates.com. That will be our sponsor for these next 4 shows. It's a blessing to have sponsors coming, and we are excited to have them and have you as well. Speaking about being excited, I am so revved up. I just can't wait. I'm just so excited. I have a AAA personality, and that's going to shine because we have my friend, my Olympian friend, Mark Everett. Mark Everett is a 3-time Olympian. He is also the director of primetime scouting. He attended the University of Florida in Gainesville, where he ran track for the Gators and competed in the NCAA competition. He graduated from Florida with a bachelor's degree in exercise and sports science in 1992, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame as a Gator great in 2001. Mark was a middle distance runner. He won the bronze medal in the 800 meters in the 1991 World Championships in Tokyo. He had an amazing career, and Mark was noted for coming back strong in the last part of his race. While he was at Florida, he helped many people, and he also was a coach at the Binghamton Southern College. Mark is currently running a business down in Alabama, and if you look at his accomplishments, a 12-time SEC champion, a USA record holder, World Junior record holder, the list goes on and on and on. So before we have him and grace his face to our screen, we want to show you one of his races. This race goes back to 1992. No. Wow. There was the Olympic trials, and we're going to show you what he was famous for, his amazing kick. So we don't want to give too much away, but we're going to show you this race, and hopefully that you will enjoy it. And if you want to Google more of Mark, you'll be able to see other races. So this will be his 1992 race.
Sebastian Coe holds the world record in the men's 800 meters. And the
Johnny Gray and start, we're going to show it from the start. So we're going to, there you go.
Sebastian Coe holds the world record in the men's 800 meters, and the American record has held since 1985 when it was set by Johnny Gray. And here is Johnny Gray in the finals, 1992, the four-time U.S. champion, American record holder, trying to erase poor performances in the past in big meets.
He told me he's been bored on his 2 days since his semifinals, but he's ready to run fast, and he says the way to beat this man, Mark Everett, is to go out very quickly. He says make Mark run the first lap fast, and Mark will crumble in the second lap. Everett, three-time U.S. champion. And also here, George Kirsch was fourth at the trials in '88. The worst possible place to finish. He's clearly one of the top three in this race. He should make the team. Here are the lane assignments. Keep your eye on lane 4 of Jose Perea. He's the one that could break the top three up of Gray, Everett, and Kirsch. Perea, the NCAA champion, a sophomore from the University of Tennessee. Won his personal best in the semifinal. And the race underway. They'll run in lanes until the backstretch when they'll break over. And Johnny Gray moving out quickly. Also coming up is Davis. And it is Terrell Davis in lane 1 that leads the field down the backstretch. Johnny Gray has led all the qualifying races. Says he likes to lead now, didn't used to, but he feels that's his best way to run. And it is Johnny Gray that goes out to set the early pace. Stanley Redwine settles into the second spot now. Moving into the third place is George Kirsch as they hit the home stretch. Look at the long stride of Johnny Gray. He told me he wore long distance spikes in the first 2 rounds, but he's going to wear his sprinter spikes in this race. Johnny Gray leads the field through the first 400 meters. Wow, he must have on those sprinter spikes, 49.46. That's world record pace. And he's picking it up. Gray is picking it up indeed as they head for the back stretch. Johnny Gray in front. Stanley Redwine still there second. Running third, George Kirsch. Aki Clark moves into fourth. Terrell Davis is fifth. And Mark Everett is trailing badly at this point. Mark Everett is sixth as they approach the turn for home. And Johnny Gray still airing it out. Stanley Redwine still there in second. And it is George Kirsch in third as they hit the home stretch. Johnny Gray has led throughout, and Johnny Gray leads the field through the stretch. Here comes Kirsch to take over second. Johnny Gray airing it out. Mark Everett with a big charge on the outside. Now comes to second. Gray wins. Everett second. And with a lunge, getting third was Perea.
Wow. That is amazing. So Mark Everett, welcome to the Be Extraordinary podcast with my co-host Tyrone. We have a baton in my hand from the Sydney Olympic Games. And all I'm going to say is, on your mark, set, and go. I'm giving you this baton, and it's all about go now, Mark. So welcome to the show. Thank you for that showing us that video and sharing it with us. And all I want to say is that we have people on this podcast. We have a lot of questions. We're going to be transparent. We're not going to hold back anything. So on your mark, the beginning. How did you start, Mark?
Good question. Basically, my background is in basketball, and really was, in my mind, a really good basketball player. Always got cut. Had opportunity to race against Emmett Smith, the great Emmett Smith, in my hometown. I went to Milton High School in Pensacola. I outran Emmett, and the football coach asked me to play football. Wow. And at that time, I was about 5'7", 110 pounds, soaking wet, maybe. And I told the coach, I'm only going to play wide receiver, not going to play punt return, not going to play kickoff. You only throw the ball to the end zone. He said, hey, you think you're a professional player? I'm like, you asked me to play. Cut me from basketball. And I didn't know the head football coach and basketball coach were really cool. And so I kept getting cut from basketball and went to track. So people really thought I loved track. I didn't. I was just really good at it. And the rest is kind of history. And years later, when I came back home, I was talking to one of my booster friends, and he said, you know why you never played basketball? I said, maybe I wasn't that good. He said, Mark, you were arguably one of the best athletes this area's ever seen. It's just you told that coach no, and you got into a track. But look how God has blessed you. So in my mind, I would have been an NBA worth about $500 million. And you probably would have heard of me and had the me shoes instead of Michael Jordan shoes. But, you know.
Well, you know what, Mark? This is about being extraordinary. So that would be an extraordinary situation. But you were extraordinary as a runner. And this show is so important because we want people to know about on your mark, the very beginning. They will see and hear your accolades, but the very beginning. So you went into track and field. Did you win automatically? How did that happen?
Oh, that's a good question, Joe. That's one of those questions I haven't gotten asked a lot. But I came in as a freshman, and my mom bought me a jacket. You know, you get your high school jacket, and you want to put that letter on your jacket, that M, my high school, and it took 12 points. Joe, I ran every single race I could think of, try to score. Okay, and this is a true story. So 100 didn't run well, 200 didn't run well, did every event, 400. So finally on the bus, I said, Coach. He said, yes, I want to run the 2 mile. He said, what? I said, I want to do 2 miles. He said, what's the longest you've run? I said, Coach, I know I've run like 800 meters on the track one time. He said, you want to run a 2 mile? I go, yeah. What's your strategy? I'm going to sit with everybody. They look like they're running slow, and I'm going to outrun everybody. He said, okay. Joe, I get out there, the gun goes off. I'm with him the first lap, chilling. So I tell myself, you know what, I'm going to conserve a little energy, slow down a little bit, kind of relax and not kill myself.
Yes.
Joe, I'm out there by myself running. All of a sudden, I hear people behind me. Joe, that's the pack that passed me. Okay. So I got laps. So as I'm running, still thinking I'm conserved to make this massive kick, I'm running again. I hear the pack again. Finally, the guy says, can you move to lane 2? The group passed me again. Joetta, it got so bad that they moved me to lane 8, ran the girls 4x4, the boys 4x4, and I'm still running.
You know what, Mark? Thank you. You know he's putting some eats in there by Tyrone.
Still, I know.
I'm telling you, that's my story.
But and you're sticking to it.
Yeah, I mean that's it. And so I then I got to my sophomore year, happened to run 53 in the 400. Thought I was ready for the Olympics. My junior year, I ran 49. And after that, I got down to 47, and University of Florida offered me a scholarship, and I took it and get to my first college meet, thinking I'm gonna run the 100, 200, 400. And my coach puts me in the 800 meters. And I said, Coach, how do I run the 800? He said, you see that guy right there? I said, yes, sir. He said, follow him for 600 meters and pass. Now, Joetta, at the time, I didn't know who that guy was, but that guy was a good friend of ours that, Aki Clark.
Okay.
1,000-meter record holder in America. If you told me that, I would have probably had a hit connection. But I ended up running 147 my first time running. Didn't know what that meant, didn't understand it. The rest was kind of history.
But I know that looking at your bio, your mom wanted you to stop running after a while.
Yes.
And you also said that y'all trained on cement, like
asphalt. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Asphalt.
And power lines. We didn't have a track my last 2 years of high school.
Wow.
Yes.
And it was a turn, run straight and make a turn. That was it.
Basically, it was like run the power line, run to this power line, run to that, run to the 6th power line today. Do that 5 times. Run to the 7th power line. Run to the 8th power line. My coach had no idea. And it's funny, he was a good coach because he was good at motivating, but he had no idea about workouts and anything like that. And once we got on the track, we were so excited to get on a rubberized track. We didn't know I mean, to walk on a track and not hear that noise that you heard was just, I mean, it was a great, wonderful, unbelievable feeling. And it was just exciting, and I had no idea, about Olympic teams and things like that, or knowing what was going on. But, I've always been a person, I don't like losing, like Joetta, and we don't like losing. We like working hard. So losing hurt a lot more than the hate I had for running. And so my freshman year, I went on to win the SEC as a freshman. And I went to my coach and said, Coach, I think I had a great year as a freshman. He said, you did. What can I do to improve? And he said, don't go home and be home for so long. Don't take that whole month off. Yeah. So I called my parents and said, I'm not coming home for Christmas. They were like, what? I said, I'm not coming home. My coach said, Everett, that's not what I told you. So I told my mom I'll go home for the 24th. I was back in school on the 26th. And back in those days, they had nothing going on in campus. Yeah. Right. I came back to school on the 26th and trained every day and was asking myself, why did I do this? No internet, no nothing like that. No cell phones, no friends. Everybody's having a good time. And that year I went on to break the junior record in the 500 indoors, national record, and then went on to make the Olympic team. So what I learned at a very young age, Joetta, that you knew a long time ago, was the fact that I might not be as good as everybody else, but I could outwork them. And that was just my motto, outworking them. If I could outwork anybody.
And that's what we always say.
I'd be willing to die.
We always say hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So that's something that separates people from just being ordinary, and what this show is about being extraordinary. And so your beginning was very humble, but it ended up being extraordinary, and we're going to take steps. So right now we're just focusing on your mark, and we're taking the play on words. And because we have so many questions going on, we're going to have Tyrone ask a couple of questions that were in the chat. And I didn't tell you this, but if you do have a question, please either raise your hand or put your question in the chat. Just don't say I have a question. Write your question down.
Follow the rules. Follow the rules.
Follow the rules. That's right.
Can we let Bruce Berry in to ask his question?
Bruce Berry. We have a question, Bruce?
I think you made him nervous with the way you told him what he had to do.
Don't go away. Come back.
I have him right here.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Berry. We have a question from Bruce Berry. And if not, we're going to move on to someone else.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
now we can.
We can hear you.
Oh,
You're live now, bro.
I got one question before you go, Bruce. What's that on your wall? It says Alabama.
Of course, Roll Tide, baby. You know how it is.
No. Hey, all about the song. If you believe in Jesus, if you believe in some people.
Now this we don't have an hour to go between Lincoln University, University of Tennessee, Florida, whoever. We got somebody with a big UF Gator thing back there. We don't have enough time for that, but
I like that person, Joetta.
Let's stay on task. So
Yes,
anyway,
do you have a question for Mark?
Yeah, my question is for Mark, and Mark, appreciate you coming here. And I was at Alabama when you were at Florida, and we had our 4x4s against each other and things. The big thing was, obviously, we feel and know that the SEC is the best conference in the country. How did it feel as a freshman to be an SEC champion? You know, did it hit you that, wow, I just won an SEC title in the best conference in the country, and they used to call our conference mini nationals.
Yeah.
And you won an SEC title. Explain how that, took over you, motivated you, and things like that.
Well, first of all, you got to think back to that time, 87, when I was a freshman. University of Tennessee was the benchmark of track and field for us. Arkansas was good too, but they weren't in our conference at the time. But Tennessee was the benchmark, women's team, men's team. So one of the things my team kind of talked to me about is they put in me the hate for Tennessee. They always win. They won a Triple Crown and cross country, indoor and outdoor. And so our coaches, Coach Walker, Coach Webb, and some of the assistant coaches always talked about being ready when it's time. Don't read the track and field news books. Don't worry about where you're ranked. Make a difference. So the first thing you got to do is make the finals. Okay, make the finals. So I knew that in races, like 800, you might hit top 3. Always stay in position to make the finals. So once I made the finals, I was like, okay. Then my coach sat me down the next day and said, okay, now you got the finals. Everett, try to get on the podium. Try to score a point. You're already going to get 8 if you get last. But try to move up in there somewhere. No one knows who you are. Do what you do. And so I'm running, and I can't remember the Tennessee guy. I want to say Tyrone Bean, maybe, or somebody that was running really well. It might have been Tyrone. And I think Grimes from Alabama on your team from Mississippi was in that race. And I'm watching those two guys, Alabama and Tennessee, and I'm seeing the guy from Tennessee that they've been talking about, and I knew I had to beat him. So I just dug down deep and went and got it and crossed the line first. I didn't really know what had happened. I just knew I scored 10 points for my team. And that really was my focus. Right. And then after the meet, we ended up winning a conference, with the high jump that year, you remember, and 4-4, and we won it. And it was a great feeling because I'd never been on a championship team before, to know I contributed to be a part of that team and to see some of my teammates get 3rd or 5th or 6th in the 10,000 and the steeplechase. It was just a culmination of probably all the championships we've ever won. That 87 team was really good because we did the Triple Crown. We won cross country, we won indoor and outdoor. So that was, running the SEC, man. It was, bro, it was tough, man. It was tough. Bro, you had to bring your game that day, man. You had to bring your game that day. You come in the prelims, you fight like cats and dogs, you come back again and do it again. So it was awesome, man. Great question, and congratulations to your team, man, and much respect for what you did in sport as well, brother.
Well, thank you for that information, Mark and Bruce. And I think so often we get to talking, we go a little bit long. So what we want to do is make sure we get as many questions in. So we're going to keep it rolling. Our next segment, before we go to our next segment, Mark is smoking a cigar. He's the director of Prime Time Scouting. So if for some reason you don't get all of your information, please feel free to screenshot this and we will show it again to reach Mark. And we'll talk more about Primetime Scouting in this segment. You can reach him at his email, his phone number, and he would love to be able to speak to you. And we'll talk about more about Primetime Scouting in this next segment. So here we go. We did On Your Mark, and now we're at the set position. So in the set position, Mark, when did you realize that you were now this up and coming, but I'm there athlete in college? So we did high school, you kind of figured it out. You won your first SEC meet. So when do you realize that, you know what, I'm in the in my set position, I'm setting something up here? When did that come to your mind?
That would have to be my sophomore year when I went to NCAAs as a sophomore. I was favored to win the NCAA meet. And so I did what the coaches told me not to do. I started reading track and field news book. And the book basically said, you're the favorite, you know. And so I was super excited about running. I knew I was going to win. And I didn't prepare myself. I was doing a lot of other foolish stuff off the track. And I ended up getting 8th place. And I stopped at the wrong finish line. I stopped 5 yards short and got 5 people past me. And so the coaches looked at me and said, we're very disappointed. And I looked at them. I was like, what? And at that time, Joetta, that's when I knew I had to grind. So I trained really hard on my own and went to USA championships. I won TAC, my first USA championship in Tampa. And then I went on to make the Olympic team that year to prove to everybody that it wasn't a fluke that they had ranked me #1 in the country as a college collegiate. So that did it, that I would say at that point. So that was a loss that spurned me and motivated me to want to win and prove everybody that I could run and I could compete.
Wow. So you returned that loss into a victory in the set position. Look, we have a lot of questions. Tyrone, I don't know if he's going to ask you a question, but I know we have a bunch of questions on this.
Yes,
on this
I'm trying
sheet
to
here.
slide up. Okay. We have Victor Coulter. Let me see if I can get.
So unmute you. We're going to unmute you and come in with your question. Make it short, concise. We have a lot of people that want to ask this great after the question. Mark, I will say while we're getting him unmuted that when you talk about expectations, you don't want to let anyone down. So seeing the frustration in your coach's face in those words, it kind of penetrated your soul and your heart. So I'm sure you learned from that day.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Because one of the things I tell a lot of people when you watch kids on TV or participate, I don't think anybody goes out and say, I want to miss that pass. I want to miss that field goal. I want to run bad. You know, but it's all about controlling your emotions and trusting your training, trusting your coach, and believing in what you've done. And I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of kids that get out there and try to do something different than they've been doing in practice. Just follow the game plan. Because if you go out and follow your coach's game plan, it doesn't work. Your coach has a way to fix it. But if you go out and run the way you run, they don't know how to fix that. You know, so just give your best effort. I never tell my kids to go for first. I always tell them to win. And winning to me is giving your best. So when you cross the line, look yourself in the mirror, because that's who you're competing with, and ask yourself, did I do my best today? That's all you really do.
Hello, Mark. The question I have is, I met you back in 2007, and I learned a lot about your character. How have you kept the same passion about track and field as I heard in your voice today?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. To me, I feel like that. I think I'm better now than I was. You know, now I'm over 50. So I think I'm a way better coach now and a better person because of things I've learned. And I've had to readapt the way I coach, you know, the kids. And it's all about them. You know, a lot of times my kids want to talk about what I've accomplished, but I don't talk about that. I talk about them because it's their dream, it's their hopes, and I'm just trying to get them to that next level, whatever that may be. And I love my kids. I have an older daughter who's 26, who has a baby now, got married. So I'm happy about her. And I got a 13-year-old daughter that's giving me fits. And it's interesting, man. But I love parenthood, and I love every kid I train, every kid that comes in our company is my child. And that's kind of how I look at it.
Okay.
So the passion's still there, brother.
Okay, we have another question. I see a Lincoln Lion over there, Victor Coulter.
How you doing?
Hey, man.
Thank you. Well, I have more of a comment. Huge fan. Love screaming at the TV for you when you used to run back in the day.
Yes, sir.
And I was going to ask the question about motivation as well, but the other gentleman beat me to it. But it's my pleasure to have met you in this forum. And I thank Tyrone and Joetta for putting on this forum for all of us.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you for the support, man. I couldn't do it without you. And the way I ran, brother, was for you guys. You know what I mean? I ran for the fans, brother. I gave it everything I got, brother.
Oh, we appreciate it.
And hopefully I put on a good show for you, sir. Hopefully I put on a good show, man.
Oh, you did. You did.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Nothing about you was
You're welcome.
extraordinary. So we always say here that you did one thing: you stay focused, you follow one course until successful, and also you said that you did it for us and you did it for people. But I know in your soul you did it for you because you are a warrior and you're tough. So even though you put on the show for us, in your heart, I know you were running for yourself. We have another question here, Mark, that we want to ask.
Okay, yeah.
Mark.
Yes, sir.
Mark, this is Norm Tate, man.
Hey, Coach Tate, what's up, baby?
Hey, man, how you doing? I've always wondered, so this is a chance to ask you. You had that funny arm swing, one of your arms. Had you ever broken your arm when you were younger?
Yes, sir. I broke my arm when I was in elementary school, and I had a cast on it. And so kids would, you couldn't play. You had to sit there with a cast on your arm and a sling. So kids would come hit me and take off and start running. So I took the sling off, and when the kid hit me, I'd take off and run, and that's what happened. But Coach, what's funny is I never saw myself run. I didn't know what they were talking about. So people in practice would tease me. I didn't know what they were talking about until Coach Walker in my freshman year showed me on video, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? And so he tried to work on it, Coach. And when he worked on it, I got slower. He said, Everett, stop, cease and desist. The bottom half looks good. It works for you. Don't ever let anybody touch that form. It works. So I kept it.
Yeah, I noticed it the first time I ever saw you run, and I just often, I had a kid that I coached that had problems in the blocks because they couldn't, one side they were like lopsided, and I asked them, they had broken their shoulder, and it affected them, in their starting position. But I always wondered about that with you.
Great question, Coach. Thank you very much, Coach. You know you're the man, Coach. Much respect to you, Coach.
Okay, man. Okay.
Hey, wait. Norm Tate, for those of you who do not know, you will know.
Please.
Norm Tate is a great long jumper and triple jumper. He made the 1968 Olympic team, Mexico City, arguably the best Olympic team ever assembled. And he is facing our forum. So kudos goes off to you. He's coaching now at Rowan University, and he hails from East Orange, New Jersey. So thank you for taking time out of your schedule to talk about Mark and his Olympians. A lot of times people think that we are up here and don't want to talk to people, don't support one another. He supports me, I support him, we support each other, and we are one big family. So thank you for being part of our extraordinary family this evening.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Joetta.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Thanks, Coach. Stay blessed, bro. You look good, Coach. You look good, Coach.
Thank you. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to be like you.
You're way better than me, Coach. You did it first, brother. You did it first. I'm just trying to follow the footsteps of Giants. Trying to follow footsteps of Giants, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, so what we're going to do right now, Mark, is that we're going to, since you showed us that video and we are in the set position, we know that your college career was fantastic. You went on to win many races, many national championship titles. So that's kind of set you up for the Olympic team and world championship teams. And on these teams, you had to run against these people. So what we're going to do is Tyrone and I are going to ask you some names and give us something short about the person when we ask you the name. Okay?
Whoa.
You can be transparent.
I'm going to be transparent. You know that. I'm
transparent. So the first name, Joaquin Cruz.
Unbelievable. I tried to break his NCAA record. I did the American part, but I didn't realize it was 141.77 when he had broke the national record or the college record. And I said, if I break that, I might as well break the world record. That was at 141.73. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Who does that?
141.
We're going with this
77.
High school phenom, George Kurse.
Arguably, George Kurse is the toughest competitor I've ever competed against in my life.
Oh.
I ran against Kurse when I was a senior in high school, as a junior, and I ran at a meet, and Kurse ran like 149, and I ran like 203, and he went out in 50 point. And I'm like, how in God's green earth do you go out in 50 point and finish?
Right.
So George is an awesome runner. One of the things I said to George, and I told him years later, if George had stuck to the mile, George would be an Olympic gold medalist with his 800-meter speed and things like that. I think the Santa Monica move kind of messed him up a little bit, leaving Mississippi. The thing about George, we're very connected because my first 2 years of college was Coach Walker. Coach Walker left and went to coach at Ole Miss and Coach George. So now there's some bad blood between us because he has my old coach. So Coach Walker says his highest moment of his life and his lowest moment is when I made the team in 92 and his pupil did not. But George ran 146, had the fastest time ever until Granville came and broke years later. But what a phenomenal athlete. And George is doing a great job in Mississippi at his old high school. He's a coach at Pearl, Mississippi, and doing a phenomenal job. I see George all the time in Birmingham, and we chop it up. And what a great, wonderful, unbelievable person.
Thank you for
Great
that.
competitor. I hated running George. I hated to race George first. Not many people I'll say that I hated to, because he's going on a 50 point. Two people in the meet, big meet, small meet, he's going on a 50 point, and you got to be ready.
Yes. Okay. So let's get ready for these other questions. We have a couple of more names. Don Page.
Don Page winning the 800, 880, and the 1,000, same NCAA meet was freaking phenomenal for Villanova. Another phenom, great speed, great talent. I mean, that's just an icon, you know, and he's doing tracks now. And I talked to Don a lot. Unbelievable. First of all, Villanova. Villanova's one of the creme de la cremes of college sports, especially with tracks, especially indoors. But Don was the man.
Okay.
Okay.
Last one.
And I guess Johnny was a couple of years way older than you when you started running. Johnny Gray.
Bruh, that's the godfather of track and field to me in 800, man. I give much homage to Johnny Gray. One thing I can tell you, I know exactly what Johnny Gray's butt looks like because I've seen it many, many times racing against Johnny. Bruh, dude, man, I'm going to tell you the trick I've learned with Johnny, if there's such a trick. It was if Johnny ran fast coming into the championship, I knew I was going to win. If Johnny hadn't run well, I'm running for second. So if you look at most races that I ran in championships when I didn't beat Johnny, it's because he didn't come in with a fast time. But if Johnny went to Europe and ran fast, I had a lot of confidence. If Johnny came in that meet and hadn't run well, you're running for second. I'm trying to make the team. So you look at the times I've gotten second, 88, 92, teams like that is when Johnny did not come into that meet running. So I'd pull track and field news book and look and see if he'd run. If he hadn't run fast, I'm excited. If he's run fast, I'm like, running for second.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, you know what? It's so funny as athletes, we always talk about winning and being champions and never giving up. There must have been a point in your career, because there was one in my career, and Tyrone also was an athlete at Lincoln University. There must have been a point in your career where you wanted to give up. So if you can just go through that, keep it, because we have some questions. So talk about when you wanted to give up, and then what made you come back? And then we're going to ask some questions from the audience. Okay, well, I made every team since 88. 92, 96 was my big breakout year to win the Olympics. Had a sponsorship set up for 800 AT&T, being an 800 man, had $1 million sponsorship on the line, and ran horrible. I was married at the time, bad marriage, had a daughter, and ran horrible. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to raise my family. Not going to worry about it. End up getting a divorce, and the yearning inside of me of not making that team said, you know what, Mark, you got to go one more time. You got to go back in the well one more time. I came back and ran well in 97, PR, ran well in 98, got some medals, 99. And the most important thing about finishing my career is one of the things I'd never ever done is win the Olympic trials. I've gotten second 88, second in 92. So the only focus I had that year wasn't even the Olympics. It was really funny. I only focused for the trials. Okay. That was it. So once I did the trials, I won. I went to the Olympics, ran. I took my shoes off on the track in the first round and walked up the track and said, I'll never come back again. Everybody, oh, you'll come back, Mark. You're so silly. Yeah. Didn't come back. 21 years later, still ain't running. Right. So. Well, you had your mind made up. So we have our mind made up to ask a couple more questions from you. So we're going to have some audience participation right now. So you have your hands up, and we have a couple of questions that we're going to ask and call on some people. Well, Mark, while he's doing that, I want to ask you one more thing. We're still in the set position, right? So we did our go and our set. So we're setting ourselves up now to ask this big question. In track and field, was there anybody that you ever thought that was, because this is a question I get all the time, that was doing illegal substances or things like that, and they never got caught, or you always suspected them? Did you ever confront them, or how did you go about that piece? Because that's a real relevant question. Okay, well, first of all, the answer to that question is yes, yes, and yes. Okay. So whether they want to admit it or not, and if they're on here listening, you already know who you are. We're gonna go with that. So I won't name names, but there was a particular athlete that had happened to break a record. And what I did was after they broke the record, they came down to the lobby and I said, hey, you used to have lactic acid buildup, no more lactic acid buildup. What happened?
And how did you hold your breath the last 100 meters of your race? He started laughing and walked away. So I think there were a lot of athletes who kind of took the other route as far as cheating, which I consider that cheating, you know, so we hit performance enhancing or helping or whatever is, yes, definitely. And I think that's going on now. Some of the times I'm seeing, I want to believe it's the tracks. I want to believe it's nutrition. I want to believe that these people are that talented. Yes. But the ease and the only problem I have about track that when I watch some of these people run is when they cross the line, you're not tight. Yeah. Bro, I don't care when you run a fast time. And the other thing is to predict when you're going to run fast. I don't even know when I'm going to bathroom next time, but they can predict in a month and a half that they're going to run fast and break the record and do that. So obviously there's some enhancements, some things going on there. But what made me feel good, Joetta, I will tell you is I had about 4 athletes hit me up after I retired and confessed to me that they cheated and they couldn't beat me. So that made me feel good to know they cheated and they still couldn't beat me. And let's go to this. If I had taken drugs, which I did, if I had, I would have ran 137 and 41 flat.
Yeah. I get that question all the time. How were you this age and ran that fast? My personality is like yours. If I'm going to do something, I'm going all the way in. So I'm not going to just go 156. I'm going to go 151. I'm going to go and do it. So
we're going to kill it. We're going to bury it. I'm going to put it down there where they talk about it forever. Like nobody on the planet. You got to get somebody from another planet.
Yeah, right.
But that's not what we ran. That's not what we ran, Joe. We ran for the love of the sport. You train hard, I train hard. We go out there and do what we did. And you had an illustrious career. You know, all the time you run mill rolls and winning at such a young age. And, you know, you were a childhood star that lived up to the hype. Because not many people, Joetta, you know, that ran good as an age group girl came along to make Olympic teams. You can count on your one hand how many have done that, who are age group kids who people earmark to be the great heir apparent to whatever event. And you were one of the ones who did that. And I had great admiration for you, as I still do. And I want to say one quick thing.
Okay.
On this show, this was not an option. Joetta doesn't give you an option when she tells you. So the phone call was, "Hey, Mark." I'm like, what up, Madam Olympia? You're going to do my show. This is what I need you to do. And that's it. So you don't really get an option to say no to Joetta. But I said throw it out.
Mark, I think I had a little something to do with that too. Because the thing we thought about when we went towards being an Olympic program for 4
Yes, sir.
The first thing I said to Joetta was Florida great Mark Everett. Yeah. I kind of helped you out.
I appreciate it. It feels good when you've done what you've done in a long time. You know, I haven't been on the track since 2000, and to have somebody want to interview you and talk to you, especially people like you two that I respect a lot. It feels good to be able to talk to fans and let them realize that we are human. We have faults, we made mistakes, but we're still here doing our best. And I just commend you guys for the extraordinary show you guys doing. I mean, Joetta, you've always done wonderful, great things. I mimic a lot of stuff that you do, actually steal your stuff. But and my daughter loves your
Let me stop you, Mark, because you're gonna go on and on. And next thing you know, you're gonna be interviewing me. This is about you. This show is about Mark Everett.
You know that's what I was going. You know what I was going.
I got some questions for Mark Everett. And while he finds the next question, I want to ask you this, Mark. We're talking about on your Mark set, and then we're gonna go to our goal. But right now we're in our set position, and now you're running well. You're overseas. What was your favorite European experience? And again, let's go. We have some questions we want to get to. So if you answer that question, then we'll go to our other questions.
All of them were great. You know, all of them were great. I can't really pinpoint. You know, most time people would think when I PR'd in Austria in 1997, 143.2, that would be the best. But I can't say that. Every place I went to was great, awesome. I submerged myself in the culture. You know, I'd go out and meet people and talk to people. So I really enjoyed traveling the world and meeting people and talking to people. And it's really cool when you're in Europe and these people pull out pictures of you running and know your PRs and not ask you what your 40 time is when you run 800, you know, and telling you what you did in the 400 and having pictures and things like that. So I enjoyed all of it. You know, I was very blessed to run as long as I did, you know, a very good career, you know, had some great sponsors, great friends, and to meet the people I've met, it's been absolutely a blessing. I'm very thankful to have the opportunity to be able to do that.
Wow.
So we're going to go to our next segment. This show goes by so quickly, and that'll be our Go segment. But before we go to our Go segment, I just want to remind everybody that Jotyme Fitness, we have health tips. And so with COVID-19 there, and if you got your vaccine, you got the card. But in addition to this card, there's some other things that you can do.
Okay. A lot of people ask me, I used to be a first responder firefighter, and a lot of times, you know, you're rushing in and out and you don't carry your card. You can screenshot it on your phone, take a picture of the cars together. But if you can't find your card or you're out, you can go on vSafe, vsafe.cdc.gov. With that, it's going to come up, icon is just going to say, put your name, your date of birth, and one more thing, and it'll pop up and show you your vaccination 1 and 2. And you can show that to whoever you need to. So you can use it with your smartphone. And like I said, it lets that person or entity or business that you have to get inside, let them know that you're vaccinated.
And then it'll look like that. And you even have a little barcode there that they can scan. And when they scan that little barcode there, when they scan this,
yes,
your reference number comes up, all your information, and they know, and you can't, it's not counterfeit, you know, it's not forged.
Yes.
So that's another thing. So if you can go to that website, again, it's very important to have that on your phone. Remember your reference number, and then you'll be able to show them that, because they're not going to be using those cards. And at the Olympic trials coming up, we have to show them that information.
Yes.
And they're going to segment the audience, the spectators, into people who have their shots in those, the cards, and those that don't. So you're seeing more of that separation. But thank you for explaining that, and that's very important. We'll show it again at the end of the show about the vSafe information. So we've done on your mark, we've done set, and now we're going to go to go. So Mark, in the go phase, you know, you're leaving the sport. You've already told us that you went. So that's the go. You left the sport. I'm sure you kept a passion for the sport. You followed the sport, but you did something else. You started your own business called Prime Time Scouting. Do you want to explain to the audience what that's about?
Yes, basically, it's something I've been doing for the last 25 years for my kids. And basically, I got a phone call from a guy that had another company, and he asked me to join. And I did, but he wasn't doing it the right way I thought he should. Didn't have the morals and the values that I adhere to. So some of the other scouts asked me to start my own company. I thought about it. I said, hey, why not? And so I looked at some of the other companies and saw what they charged. I made sure I was a lot less. But one of the things I said, what would make me sign up? Well, one, the competency of the person running the company. But more importantly, was there a money back guarantee? And that's one of the things we do. If we're not able to get you a scholarship, we give you your money back. You can't join and then we do all the work, get you scholarship, then you say, I want my money back. That's not how it works. You know, we do our job, get you scholarships, get you signed, but also we put in an internship program. So once you sign with us, we follow you through the program. And to become a sophomore, junior, you step in with an internship, because I found a lot of kids, they graduate, they do sports, they're not able to find a job because they don't have any experience.
Right.
And so we follow up with the coaches. A lot of times as a student, as an athlete, parents, you're not going to get any information from the coaches. Well, we can find out how your kid's doing. You know, so we had a couple of kids that have already been in our program, went to college, kind of didn't do well. We jumped all over them, got them back. And I tell parents, if it's something as a parent you need to know, we'll let you know. If not, we'll handle it. So I have some great scouts. My number one scout is Everett Ellis, who's doing a great job, of Pitt grad, NFL player. He's doing a wonderful job. We have a lot of great scouts out there who's helping. One of the things we do that no other company can do, we send your information out. Like I have Kenny Harrison, my triple jump coach, who I can send triple jump information to. Mike Powell, Joetta. If I had a video 800 meter, I would send it to you and Tyrone. You know, so we have a whole many people that we can use and access to help. But most of the coaches are coaches that I grew up with. Right. So we're able to call them, not just send an email out. But the most important thing about scouting is you got to understand is find the school that wants you. You know, I hear these kids tell me, I want to go D1. Well, you might not be D1 talent. And especially in track, if you run 50 point, that's 50 point. D1, D2, D3, it doesn't matter. So find the coach who wants you, that fits your personality, your profile, and look at that school.
Let me ask you something, Mark, because I don't know if the audience knows this or not. So is Prime Time Scouting just for track, or is it for other?
No, good question. Every sport, the only sport we don't do is cheerleading.
Okay.
But we do every sport: golf, tennis, baseball, basketball, swimming, wrestling, bowling. If there's a sport out there, we got it.
Wow.
Okay.
And so we got coaches all around the country, all over, calling us. And people ask me this question: hey, I bet during COVID your business went down. Our business actually went up like 500% because coaches didn't have accessibility to the coach, to the players, and the players didn't have accessibility to the coaches. But we were that conduit to help them bridge that gap. So the coaches really appreciate us giving them transcripts, telling them about the kid, their background, telling them about their family, giving them videos. We gave them everything because I used to be a college coach. So I hand package and give them information to the schools. So the schools and coaches love it.
If they want to reach you, they can ask more questions. If you put the slide, if we show you the slide, take a picture of the slide. You can reach him at Primetime Scouting. His email address is up there. The website is not there. Could you say the website, Mark, please?
Yes, it's primetimescouting.com, www.primetimescouting.com. The best way to reach me is send me an email, coachmarkeverett@gmail.com, and I will get back to you very, very quickly. If you have a question about it, just ask us, and it doesn't cost to ask a question. I'd love to hear from you guys. But we're trying to get everybody's sides. But we're looking for people who are looking for us, and we're excited about what we do.
Good.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. And I'm quite sure people in the audience will follow up with that. That's very important. Division 1, 2, 3. And I think as an athlete, sometimes in the go position, you go away. So we want to commend you for staying and giving back and having the knowledge base to expand, not only in track and field, but to do other sports. So as you're looking, we're still in the go phase. As you're looking at the sport now, you see the Mondo tracks, the bank tracks, you see the amazing facilities, you see all the money that these athletes are making. Do you ever say, wow, I wish I was coming along now with everything that you see these athletes getting?
No, no, because what I think is happening now is I don't think the athletes are as close as we are, because they're all making so much money. They don't compete as many times as we did. So I started seeing that as I was starting to transition out of sport. We'd sit down in the lobby and play cards and play spades and get a chance to play with Joetta, Mike Conley, and all these famous athletes, Jackie Jonah Kersey and Gail Devers and Dan O'Brien and Carl Lewis and Roger Kingdom and all these great athletes. So these guys have become my friends. And I don't think the kids are doing that. You know, I think social media keeps us away where we didn't have that, and that kind of connected us. You know, so no, I was glad the money we made. I think the money we made was good, but our money was better than the people before us. So each generation boosts the other one up, you know, if that makes sense. I think you have less people being able to become pro athletes, you know, which is sad. I mean, you got the top people making money, but I think below that, it's not a lot of money. And when I hear the one thing I want to talk about is people going pro so early. These kids are not ready. I don't care what no one tell me. You can give me stories of 2 or 3 who did it, but I can show you a whole bunch of them who went pro who weren't ready. So make sure you seek wise counsel before you make the decision, this money move, because pro sports is hard in any sport. You know, it's very, very difficult. So it's interesting when you see some of these kids turn pro, and I'm like, who's talking to them? If it's just an agent talking to you, get somebody else. Track down an athlete, track down somebody, you know, find somebody, you know, when they talk about 7 degrees of separation, it's really like 3 now with the way the world is now.
Yeah.
So now, Mark, I have a question. Now it seems like 800 meter, especially girls, they don't do the cross country indoor, outdoor as much as Joetta did. We talk about this. Joetta was really good in cross country, really good indoor, and really good outdoor. A thing Moo didn't run cross country 4 years, high school. She's not running at Texas A&M, and she's excelling. So do you think that now some kids need to still have a base for cross country, or they can train through to get to indoors?
I think it depends on the athlete. I think, to me, and not because I ran it, because I coach it, the hardest event to coach to me is 800 meters.
Yeah.
It really is. The other ones seem to be a little bit easier for me. I get a lot more quicker results teaching kids 1, 2, 4, 15 up. But that 800 is a combination of speed and strength.
Yes.
So you have to figure out what kind of 800 meter runner you're going to be. Are you going to be a 400, 800 meter runner or 800 mile? Yeah. You know, and so I think you got to first target where you are and then work on those things that you're not good at. But one of the things you said is very true. In anything you do, you have to have a base. You have to have a foundation. That if you don't have a foundation, it's not going to happen. One of the things people don't realize about me is I was a speed 800 meter runner. Yeah. That's why I can kick. I could run 44, you know, 20 point to 200, you know, 10-1, 10-2, and 100. A lot of people don't realize that. Now, I ran the mile one time over in Europe, and it was a road mile. A lot of people don't know their story. My agent, Enrico Dionisi, crazy Italian, told me about this mile race. It was a straight mile. And I said, what's the prize money? He told me. I said, what if I win? He said, Mark, you're not going to win. He said, but it was a great bonus, a great big trophy. And I said, I'm going to win this. I ran 3:59 in the mile. Yeah. Crossed the line. And I swear on everything that I love, I would never, ever run that race again. I never did. I thought I was going to die. Okay.
You didn't get the trophy or the bonus. You didn't get the trophy or the bonus, did you?
What's that?
You didn't get the trophy or bonus, and your heart, you couldn't breathe. So that was a lose.
I won the meet. I won.
Oh, you won. Oh, I'm sorry. You won.
Oh, Joey, I'm not gonna run 3:59 and not win.
I get ready to say,
but I had to lean. I had to lean with a Kenyan, and luckily I was a sprinter to know how to lean. Joey, you know about leaning in 2000. You leaned and made the team because you knew how to sprint. You came from a sprinting background. You know, you had sprint on your legs, so you have to be able to sprint. And look at some of my races that I was able to win at the line. I was able to lean. A lot of guys don't know how to lean. Girls don't know how to lean. So I could lean perfectly with the torso, not the head, torso.
Well, thank you. This show has come to an end. So I want to thank you for leaning in and sharing your knowledge and your enthusiasm and your passion. We want to thank you for being the great athlete that you were, but we must admit and say that you were a great student as well at the University of Florida. You were on the Dean's List, the academic honor roll. You have your degree, and that is so very important for you and the athletes that you are working with to graduate and also be an athlete and a student athlete as well. So, Mark, do you have anything that you want to add in closing quickly?
First of all, I want to say Be Extraordinary is a great show. Coach Tyrone, thank you very much. Madam Olympian, you guys are doing a great job. Keep this up. I can't wait to watch the rest of the shows. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to give me the opportunity to express my thoughts and views. And I just want to tell everybody that they're listening, if you get a chance to ask a question, write to them, write to me. I'll definitely answer your questions. And just remember, if you want to get signed, call Primetime Scouting. And we end with this. What time is it? Prime time.
What time is it for you, Tyrone? How are you gonna top that?
What time is it to take the baton back that we passed you? We taking it back?
Stick, baby. Great show, and thank you guys so much. Seriously, thank you, and thank your sponsors. Definitely, I want to sit down and talk to you guys to see how we can get Primetime on the back of that board back there. We'd love to do that. So you got our support.
It just got this just by you saying that.
By you saying that. Do you have anything you want to say in closing?
No, I just want to thank everybody for joining the first of 3 more segments for the Olympic experience. And Mark just set it off. So whoever else comes on here, y'all better be.
And anytime you want me, Joetta, you know what to do.
I know what to do. Pull you up the golf course. We need more time. So we may have to bring you back in another segment. But
I'm ready.
Now, we have to do the Olympians. My sponsors, Surre, Goldberg, and Henry, wanted to do Olympians. And they said, Joetta, pick whoever you want. We talked to Tyrone. He's like, you know what? Let's do Mark. So I just want to say thank you, Mark, for being part of the show, for again having the passion and enthusiasm, and for separating yourself. Greatness doesn't start. It doesn't start and stop. Greatness happens because you are consistent at doing something and growing every step of the way. And even a loss can be turned into a victory.
Yes.
So in closing, I just want to say, I want to thank you. It doesn't matter what road you take, but what matters is what you become along your journey. So thank everyone for taking this journey along with us this week. And next week is our next show. And let's see who's going to be the speaker on the
Oh my gosh.
So next week you have
the greatest athlete ever.
Oh man, well, I'm not saying that, but I'm going to be on the show next week. So please make sure you tune in to Passing the Baton, to Be Extraordinary, and Tyrone to have me all to himself, and you as well.
Oh, Joey, I'm coming on. Tyrone, bring me on. Let me help you interview her.
Okay, I got you.
Let me do it.
And again, everyone, thank you very much for being part of the show. We'll see you next week. We come on every Wednesday from 5:30 to 6:30 Eastern time. And remember, be extraordinary. And as we always say, remain focused. Follow one course until you're successful. Have a healthy rest of your evening and enjoy your evening as well. Thank you.
God bless. Thank you.
Bye-bye.